My name is Jack Harris, and just like you all, I was tasked with giving the personal narrative speech I'm giving right now. Originally, I thought this was going to be the easiest speech of my life. I didn't have to find any extra data, do any more research. I didn't even have to persuade my audience of anything. I'm just telling the story of my life. But after reading the instructions and looking at the parameters, I've learned that I only had 5 minutes to do this, which makes it a lot more difficult. I have 5 minutes to not even explain who I am, but to also make sure my audience gets something out of it. So this got me thinking, what would I talk about? Would I explain some of the important people in my life, like my dad and my grandfather? Or would I just go through my life in chronological order, how I was born in Cincinnati and how I go to Covington Catholic? Well, after much thought, I realized the best way to do this speech was to go over some of the most important events in my life so far. And don't confuse important with best, because these are not the best events of my life. They're far from it. They're actually some of the most difficult times of my life, but they are important because they made me who I am today. So I'll begin with the time I got bullied out of elementary school. In second grade, I transferred from Villa Madonna Academy, a small private school, to Beechwood, which was a bigger school. Usually this wouldn't be a big deal, but Beechwood's a really tight-knit community. It's a great school, a lot of great people there, but a lot of these kids, their parents went there and their grandparents went there. All these families know each other and they've been friends since preschool. So when I came in second grade, I was kind of already an outcast. And of course, I wanted to try to get in with the cool kids, the athletic kids, and it just wasn't happening. They'd call me weird, they'd call me skinny, they wouldn't let me play in any of the football games. It was awful, and the worst part about it was they'd always do stuff outside of school. They'd always hang out. They'd have fun stories to tell about their sleepovers, but I didn't have anything from second to fourth grade. I was all alone. In these moments, I learned what it felt like to not be included. And because of that, I realized the importance of being aggressively inclusive. I started reaching out to the shy kids at lunch and having conversations with them. If there was someone that didn't seem like they had many friends, I would go talk to them and ask to hang outside of school. I would make a relationship with these kids to make sure they didn't feel the way I was feeling. And in these tough moments of Beechwood, I learned the importance of being kind and caring, and I brought that through my life even today. I think that's a big reason I'm now president of Cuff Cath, because I care about how everyone is feeling and I make sure to be inclusive. So that was the first major event of my life. The second important event of my life, I'd say, was getting cut from the JV basketball team. So at Cuff Cath, I made the freshman basketball team by the skin of my teeth, of course. I was a bench warmer. I was the human victory cigar. They put me in when we were up by 20 points. It was fun, but going into my sophomore year, I didn't want to be a bench warmer. I wanted to be a starter. So I started working hard. I'd grind in the gym, and I was having a blast. I was doing great at open gyms. I was building new relationships with my teammates, and I was having a ton of fun, and I was playing the best basketball I had ever played in my life. And it was due to all the hard work I was putting in. But I realized the last day of tryouts that I apparently didn't have what it takes. I thought my spot was safe, but I was one of the 3 kids cut that night. It was awful, the worst feeling of my life. I held my tears in the gym, but when I got to my car, I started punching the steering wheel. I started crying and bawling, and I cried for 2 days. I was sad and lonely and disappointed about my failures for about 2 weeks until the Cuff Cath athletic director reached out to me, and he asked me to color commentate the basketball games. I would do freshman, JV, and varsity. It was even more important since COVID was going on and no one could be in the gyms. So everybody had to watch online, and I was the star of the show. I'll tell you right now, I'm much better at color commentating than I am playing basketball. And I would never have known that if it weren't for me getting cut from the basketball team. See, that's what these 2 important events in my life have in common. They seem so difficult and so bad in the moment, but really it's one door closing and another door opening. Beechwood taught me the importance of being kind and caring, and getting cut from basketball introduced me to a whole new passion and talent. A lot of times it may feel like your world is falling to pieces, but really it's falling into place. And that's what I want you to take out of this. If you get anything out of this speech, I want you to remember that the worst parts of your life are not the end of your life. It's just the beginning. Your story is not finished.